Hello. I have finished a new book, Alchemy Basics, an introduction to alchemy. As you see, the analogy of the earth, or the world, the sky, the earth, the water, the sun, and also the steam or the mist here condensing and going down to the rain, and we have a little underwater rocks or minerals here. Universal Index product. Here we go, an 84-page book describing the practice of physical alchemy, many alchemical processes, theory of practices, recipes, yes, we got recipes here, and how to create many simple alchemical cosmetics like tinctures, creams, and alchemist stones. You get an audiobook, which is a whole book reading. It's about an hour and 20 minutes. And you get an 84-page PNG file book for 10 Australian dollars, which is about 7 American dollars. FYI, the cold and flu recipe is in this book among quite a lot of other good recipes. I have some of my best ones, my yin recipe, my yang recipe, the chi pill or the chi recipe, the kidney one, and a lot of other little bonus extra good ones. I really put everything into this one. So it also goes on how to make a bunch of different cosmetics. Here I'll bring up the files. You see 84 pages. Goes through all the basic processes, destructive ones, distillation, chemical, and cosmetics, herbal oils, resins, balms, creams, and it's got all the forms of tinctures and on making alchemy stones, etc. So it's got lots of things. So you see here is the book. Here's the index, and it's got all about it explains natural philosophy, the three kingdoms. I will include a little bit of a reading of the book. So after this, you can get a nice reading of some of the stuff, or read this kind of stuff. It's got lots of nice series. So yeah, if you like my alchemy stuff, then please do purchase a copy and check this out. It's really got, if you just want a clean, clear explanation of alchemy and its processes, the ingredients, things you can make. Maybe you're a cosmetics maker and you like this stuff, it's got all that. So I don't use any complicated language, and I don't hide anything with alchemical language. I specifically explain some of the most commonly used alchemical language, but this will really break it down and explain it in common terms. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this and you enjoy a little reading from some of the pages, and yeah, that's all. Otherwise, send me an email or a comment down below. I check my emails every Monday, and check my Gumroad or Fiverr for more commercial products and services, as you can get this book at my Gumroad for 10 AUD, which is about 7 to 8 American dollars. Basic natural philosophy. Here we have a diagram of the flow of elements in a linear form and a cyclical. Above is a cycle of elements and hierarchy of elements. All of reality is made out of these 5 basic elements. Earth at the base or bottom is the most physical and material element. The ground below you, minerals, the physical body of animals and plants are all the earth element. All solid objects are related to earth. Water is earth. Water represents all liquids, oils, gels, fluids, resins, and other liquidy unfixed substances. Water sits above earth and can be related to winter. Air is a gaseous element. The water we breathe, smoke that comes off a herb, and the smells that flowers give off are of air. Air is relating to spring. Fire is plasma, light, heat, and fires of all kinds, oil and gas, etc. Its season is summer. Finally, space is related to electromagnetism, a simple 3D geometrical space, non-physical pressure and fields. All of these elements work together and exist in their own kind of harmony. And here we have a diagram of a flask. Below it is a burner with a fire coming out of the burner. And we see here there's earth, these crystal kind of dirt looking structures in the bottom, and then there's some liquid filling it, and because of the heat it's evaporating off steam, and space is all around it. This is also a closed flask. Natural cycles. During daytime the sun comes out and warms the earth. This causes water, which is collected in ponds, rivers, the ocean, etc., to transmute into air and rise upwards. Here we have a moisture cycle showing that the sun, or daytime, it rises up, and during the nighttime, which we have a little moon to represent that, it goes downwards into the earth. Natural cycles. Then, by similar flow of logic, nighttime cools the earth and allows for water to condense on/in it. This is a very basic cycle of nature. Hence we can use this natural cycle, in our own work, since alchemy uses nature's own methods to speed up natural processes, far beyond what nature could possibly achieve in many hundreds or thousands of years. To further this idea, we can observe hotter locations and colder ones. It can be assumed that countries which are hotter will be transmuting their waters into air continuously, while colder countries are always turning their air into water. The same goes for winter and summer. Summer is hot, a season of uplifting energy. The reason being is that energy is actually being uplifted. Within your own body, you will sweat more and might find yourself losing weight, feeling drier or condensed, though it does depend on if it's a dry heat, humid, or in the middle. Winter is the opposite and naturally encourages you to store fat. Similarly, colder locations will as well. Cold specifically draws energy into you, into the organs and bones. It makes one more relaxed as opposed to the heat making one excited and stimulated. The moon supposedly has a similar effect. When it's high and full, it draws moisture up, and when it's new or empty, it draws moisture down into the earth, roots of plants, etc. Plants have their own cycles of flowering, seeding, fruiting, and germinating, for example. During the heat, you may be able to smell flowers more as their volatile oils are in the air. During summer, animals, of course, have growth cycles, birth and death, adolescence, adulthood, etc. Usually they will breed during the right time for them in order to go along with nature instead of against it. Though, don't think all things must or should follow a rigid order or schedule of nature. There also to some extent exists counterforce, a chaos and randomness as well, which breaks structure. Here we have a diagram which is nothingness leading both into pressure and space lead into the four elements. Creation of the universe. Supposedly in the beginning there was nothing. True nothingness, where even the idea or the possibility of nothing could and did not exist. From this, nothingness spawned somethings. They are also known as the two dual elements or forces of positive and negative. I think of them as pressure, the positive, and space, the negative. Without space, there is no place for existence to be, and without pressure, there is no energy or action. Pressure within space formed stars, which formed matter. This is a harmony of positive and negative to form more positive and negative. Cosmic incest, if you will. Creation of the universe. Here we have a diagram that you can see all things, or base reality, nothingness, you could say, splitting off into positive and negative splits off into earth and water, positive splits off into air and fire, and the four elements create life. Pressure in space can also be thought of as electricity and magnetism. Once the stars created matter, it supposedly condensed and formed into planets like our own, which became a bed for life. Over many years, cycles and combinations of elements, warming from the sun, cooling, etc., eventually created some kind of atmosphere. I hypothesize it relates to the electromagnetic aura field of the Earth as it matured. So did the atmosphere, and eventually it became fertile enough to take on life because of the perfect conditions of heat cycles, water cycles, stable Earth, and an atmosphere. With these hypotheses, we can start to gain a basic idea of how a reality such as ours started to take its basic form from true nothingness, though who knows what kind of other worlds or even planets formed that beings live on today. The three kingdoms. Vegetable, animal, and mineral. Here's a picture showing three of them, the three kingdoms. Mineral is the first kingdom at the bottom because they are found within the earth and in mountains. Mineral in alchemy refers to any raw earth product. Some examples are basic earths like clay, dirt, sulfur, sand, and other general chemical mineral products. Next are simple ores like iron ore. These are earthly mineral ores which need great work in order to be processed. After that, you have more refined and pure substances like crystal and stalactites, any kind of refined mineral product made by nature. Then there are metals, which is a refined ore. Some mineral like cinnabar and realgar, which are both sulfur-based, are somewhat in between crystal and ore. It's good to know the basic chemistry of what you're working with in the mineral kingdom, though it isn't required when you have more experience. Formation of minerals according to alchemy. Supposedly to the alchemists, minerals actually grow like a plant or organ under the earth. The growth of certain mineral products due to chemical reactions is upheld by science today, but alchemists believe that elements transmuted from one to another underneath the earth. Minerals get heated and pressurized under the earth. They start to sublimate and form mineral vapors. This then causes a cycle of digestion and coagulation, so the raw impure mineral starts to transmute in an earthly womb-like state into a higher, purer substance. This then either forms into a different mineral element or type like raw iron ore into its green sulfate crystals from mixing with a sulfurous gas. Or hypothetically, even from something like lead to gold through the intermingling of other mineral products like azurite, which is transmutation. Alchemists replicate these natural processes in order to turn minerals into metals and metals into crystals. A final note on minerals is that of spirit veins, underground rivers, and such. Minerals carry electromagnetic energy, and this may be a spiritual force for the transmutation, as well as how they form their veins of mineral vapors or spirit veins under the earth. Mineral oil and water could also form due to above processes pressure cycles. The three kingdoms. Vegetable. Vegetable means all greenery. Plants, fruits, nuts, seeds, leaves, flowers, mushrooms, and moss. These all grow out of the earth, which is a fertile life substrate mostly made from minerals, but also contains dead plants, animals, liquids, and other organic compounds. Plants take of their nature partly from their motherly earth and fatherly seed. Supposedly, a plant will draw mineral vapors along with salt through their roots as well as what they gain from the air, sun, and rain. These elements all affect how a plant grows, its size, taste of fruit, mineral content, color, etc. alongside its genetic component pre-given from the seed. Vegetable components are usually gathered according to certain times. Fruits will be taken when sweet and ripe if possible. Flowers when fully bloomed for perfume or budded for tea. Roots when well grown and when the moon is new. Some young leaves are favored and some old. Mushrooms when fully grown and open. The Three Kingdoms Animal. Animal encompasses common animals, bugs, fish, mollusks, birds, mammals, etc. Humans are technically not a part of this field and treated as their own, though alchemical works done with human reagents is treated the same as done with animal parts. Most common parts of animals will be their bones, fat, skin, meat, hair, and organs. Rarer parts like horns or entire dead animals like sea cucumbers are also used. For insects, their poison is mostly used. Body fluids like blood, semen, urine, and menses are also used commonly. The ethicality of using animal parts is a little bit questionable. If possible, try to source them ethically, sustainably, legally, and morally correct. Similar rare animals like tigers may be difficult to find fresh or dried parts of. You may need to travel to locate specialty vendors. You can actually buy a lot of that stuff online, FYI. Just look up meat markets. You'll find organs and all kinds of, bull testicles for fertility elixirs, etc. The three reagents. Above is a basic diagram to explain how all splits into positive and negative, then how they split into their elements, and finally how the elements become the three reagents of salt, mercury, and sulfur, also known as ash salt, volatile spirit, and oil. As we see here, earth and water become salt, and that's because of the manufacturing process. That's for all of these. Water and air become mercury, because it's a spiritual liquid, and air and fire become sulfur. From the three kingdoms of mineral, vegetable, and animal, you can make three primary reagents. This is one of the most important parts of alchemy and will teach you how to do many things. These three reagents work to extract one another as well as combine to form other compounds. From this we start to get chemistry. Salt, ash salts. First is salt, or what you can think of as refined ashes. Each kingdom has a slightly different way of producing salt, and the chemical compounds of each is different. The simplest of all operations is the herbal realm. Starting with that, to produce vegetable salt, you first gather a large amount of vegetable matter, preferably bark, wood, and roots, as they contain the most salt. Leaves and fruit skins are also good if you can't get the other parts. Then simply calcine these until they're white or grey. This process will be gone over later in the operations chapter. After that, water will be mixed with the ashes, and after letting the water sit, it will be dried out to a crystal. Animal salt is the same as herbal, except you usually use bone. Meat and organs can also be used in fermented fluids if you must. Finally, mineral salt is a minerals oxide. This is obtained either by calcining metal powder or chemically obtained. Mercury, volatile spirit. Mercury of each kingdom is a liquid which is able to extract its essence, usually the oil of that product. Volatile spirit means a volatile liquid or spiritual liquid. They're usually made from fermentation or dry distilling of mass amounts of salts. The vegetable kingdom's spirit is high percentage alcohol, ethanol. This is the best vegetable volatile and can also be used in some parts of both mineral and animal operations. Animal volatiles also made from fermentation is ammonia. In its crudest form is fermented blood or urine, though distilled ammonia is better to use. Mineral volatiles are a little more complicated. There are many mineral acids like nitric, hydrochloric, sulfuric, phosphoric, hydrofluoric, and others which are used. Also acetone, FYI, if you try to distill calcium acetate, that's another one. The mineral acid used depends on mineral state and type. Gold, for example, can't be extracted by only hydrochloric acid, but iron can be. Sulfur oil. Sulfur is all forms of oil. Crude oils and resins are the lowest form, while essential oils are the thinnest and highest form. Within the middle exists the more generally used extracted oil for medicinal or other purposes. Animals are the simplest to extract and find, as they're the most abundant in oil, while minerals are most abundant in salt. Fat is the first oil extracted. Then other oils would be from organs, bone, blood, meat, etc., and need to be extracted by chemical or alchemical processes. These, along with most herbal products, can be extracted simply by their solvent and boiling them into a sap. Mineral products are first turned into their acetate crystal form, then either dry distilled or mixed with alcohol. More on all of this will be explained later in the processes section.